I remember the moment I was asked to make what seemed like an impossible decision. It was 9 o'clock on a Thursday night. I was in one of those small, cold exam rooms at the emergency vet. I thought I was taking my cat, Purball, home, but I wasn't. Purr was suffering. And in that moment, I had to decide if it was time to let him go. See, Purr was everything to me. Only cat people will truly understand this, but he was really my best friend. Even when he was chewing up my power cords or waking me at 5 a.m. for breakfast. I couldn't imagine my life without him. But at the same time, and this is the part that's hard to admit, there was another thought going in the background. I have clients tomorrow. I knew it was time, and I had to let Purr go. I took one day off, just one, and then I just kept going. It was like the therapist in me said, my clients needed me, so therefore I had to keep pushing through. I didn't recognize it then. I didn't realize what had happened until many months later. I had become my job. And that sounds like a title, but it was really much more than a title. It was as if I belonged to it. I know that sounds like something out of a horror film, but it wasn't too far off from the truth. You see, even when I was standing in my own kitchen at home, feeding my cats, I wasn't really at home. I was mentally triaging my caseload. I was checking a mental clock. You see, I had optimized myself so completely for my role that the professional version of me, I had actually replaced myself, and I didn't realize it, but that was the only version of me left. That was the person who walked through the door every day, every night. The person who knew how to produce, but had no idea how to just be. And when you're caught in that loop, like I was, the drift starts. You start talking to your partner, your friends, your family, the same way you talk to your colleagues. Efficient, transactional, scheduled. Somewhere along the line, you basically become a walking calendar invite. And it continues. You book a work trip over your kid's birthday because you simply forgot. And then say, oh, I'll make it up to him. And then first thing you wake up in the morning, you reach for your work phone. Sound familiar? Anybody? And it's Saturday. I see this constantly in my practice. I hear it from my clients, and we see it in the data. Work stress doesn't just stay in the office. It spills into the home. Research from the Gottman Institute tells us that when we're under high work strain, we withdraw. We're unable to be present even when we're standing right next to the people that we love. The American Psychological Association calls this emotional withdrawal when stress from the job affects our ability to connect at home. And when the job continues to override that shared time, the emotional connection, the emotional energy, research is clear. The stability of the relationship doesn't just dip, it starts to slide. And then it can move right into the body. Sleep becomes harder or shorter, or it disappears completely at 3 a.m. when your mind just won't turn off. Anybody? Yeah. And we tell ourselves we have to push through the headaches, the tension, that constant hum of stress that's underneath everything. And what do we tell ourselves? Oh, it's just a busy season, right? But that busy season doesn't last just a little amount of time. Busy season can last 5 years. Stress becomes the baseline. Exhaustion feels normal. You've stopped feeling, and you're just functioning. But when you step out of that mode and make the choice to be a person again, everything changes. That moment came for me about a year ago. I was sitting in my office. Patients, clients were telling me their plans for the summer. Weekend at the beach for Memorial Day. Track out week for their kids' trip to the mountains. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm starving for that. I really need that. And I started telling myself, I want to do that. I need to do that. I should get to do that. So at the end of April, I set a deadline. By July 1st, I'm taking Fridays off. And I started telling my Friday clients, braced for the worst. And they just went, okay. And for the first time in years, I finally felt a bit of life coming back. And when you make that choice, the rest isn't just mental, it becomes physical. Sleep becomes actual rest instead of just collapse from exhaustion. Your shoulders drop. You wake up with energy instead of just obligation. And you stop pushing through your life. And you actually start living it. The biggest cost of burnout, though, isn't the physical. It's our aliveness. We become so entwined with our jobs, with our work, that joy simply fades. Hobbies disappear. We forget what we like. And after a while, you look in the mirror and you see a total stranger looking back at you. Hi, I am Patty. Nice to meet you. Do you work here? Yeah. But the good thing, the good news, is that aliveness can come back. And by September, I had decided that I was ready to prove that. I am a Red Sox fan. And so I made the most unoptimized decision that I could make. I drove 13 hours to Boston, not for a client, but for my life. I bought tickets for the Friday and Saturday games against the Yankees. And if you know anything about baseball, anyone, you know that those are some of the hardest, the most expensive tickets to get. They're basically an investment. Now, I'm not much of a singer, but good times never seemed so good, so good, so good, so good. I stayed as late as I possibly could. On Sunday, I left about 2 in the afternoon. First couple hours, I listened to the Patriots broadcast as I was crossing through Pennsylvania, searched through SiriusXM to find the Sox-Yankees game. I drove through the night and pulled into my driveway in Raleigh at 4 a.m. Monday morning. A year ago, a 4 a.m. arrival on a Monday would have been a crisis. I would have dreaded that first client. But as I sat there, exhausted and smelling like Fenway, I realized that my aliveness was worth the drive. I had finally decided that my life was worth the price of the tickets. Change doesn't necessarily require that we quit our jobs. Change does require that we refuse to let ourselves become it. Because you were a human, you are a human first. Before you were a parent, before you were a student, before you were an employee. And your life, it deserves to be lived. So, stop abandoning your own life. And the next time, when work asks for more of you than you actually have left, choose yourself. Finish what you can. Leave when you told your family and your friends that you would. Actually be where your life is happening. Because when we do that, we have healthy relationships, healthier bodies, and an actual connection to who we really are. We change more than ourselves. We change how we show up for the people around us. And that changes more than we realize. It changes the world. Thank you.